Hey everybody, this is Robert with Robert Burke Games, and today I would like to just do a quick run through of the new card game called Draco Magi. It is a two-player card game where you take on the role of a dragon magi acolyte who is trying to rise to power. The Dragon King has died, and you are trying to prove that you should be the next Dragon King by commanding dragons in a contest to show who has the most mastery over the dragons of the kingdom. So there are two teams. There's the gold team. If you're playing the gold acolyte, you have the cards with the gold dragon on the back, and then there is the green acolyte team over here that has the green dragons. So each player has their own deck of dragons. They are both the same. So you have the same pool of dragons that you are going to be commanding. And every dragon is unique because it fits a unique role within the game, whether it's an offensive role or a defensive role or a strategic role. They all have a very unique ability specific to that dragon that fits in the game somewhere. And it's your job to put those dragons together while you're planning your attack and while you're doing your attacks to make sure that you can be victorious. So you'll see there's all kinds. There's 10 different dragons in the base game. Here's a purple dragon and a gold dragon and silver and green and black and brass, and there's a battle dragon. So you'll get to know these dragons very well as you play the game, and they're very unique abilities. So in addition to the dragon decks, each player also has a battle deck, and these battle decks resolve both ranged attacks and they resolve melee attacks. So there's a few phases in the game, but the two main battle phases are the ranged attack phase, where you're placing dragons on the battlefield. When they're flying into the battlefield, they can let go a ranged attack as they're flying in. After they're on the ground, the melee phase, after they're all on the ground, the melee phase happens, and that's when the dragons, have their battle with tooth and nail and magic. So the top of these cards is what you resolve ranged attacks with. Every starburst you see here counts as a success. So you've got range attack icons here, and then you've got shield successes over here. So if you have an attack with a ranged attack, and maybe I had 2 successes, for example, the defender would have to get at least 2 successes on their side by flipping cards to either equal or exceed the successes of the ranged attack. So if the defender equals or exceeds the ranged attack hits, then they successfully defended the ranged attack and can remain on the battlefield for the melee phase. All right, so the first thing you're going to do after both players have gotten their decks together, you're going to do the draft. So each player is going to draw 3 advanced battle cards from the advanced battle deck. They're going to look at them, and they're going to decide which one they're going to keep. Each player is going to keep one. Then each player has to give one to their opponent, and the last one is going to go back into the advanced battle deck and be shuffled in for later. So the decision point here is really you want to pick the one that you want to add to your deck, and you want to give your opponent something that you think might be the worst card of the 3, and then put one maybe back in the deck that you don't want them to have right off the bat. So for example, you can see these all have successes on their ranged attacks, and some of them have 2 successes. So the ranged attacks are all better on the advanced battle cards, and the melee attacks are unique. Like this is a magic shield. This is a very good card if your opponent plays a magic attack on you during the melee phase. You can play this, and it bounces back. It not only protects you, but it bounces that attack back at them. So that's a good one. Claw Wing Strike is good. This lets you attack or defend against 1 claw, but your defender, when you play this, they may not play a flight card. So flight cards are a defensive melee ability, a card that you can play to avoid melee attacks. So there's ways to play combos in Draco Magi. So if your opponent plays, for example, a combo of 3 different attacks, you can defend it with 1 flight card. So essentially they have burnt 3 cards and you have only burnt 1. So really managing your hand of battle cards and keeping the advantage on the number of cards you have is really the way you're going to win those battlefields. So being able to stop a player from playing a flight card is a good ability to have. And then the last one is Deadly Strike. This one, when you play this, both players must discard 1 dragon from the battlefield, but then your opponent must also discard 2 cards. So that's the kind of special abilities that these advanced battle cards have. So in this case, I might pick Magic Shield, and I would give my opponent maybe Deadly Strike, and then I would put the Clawing Strike back. Your opponent would do the same thing, so you would get 1 card that you have chosen, and then 1 card that your opponent has given to you, and then you would shuffle it back into your battle deck, and you're both ready to go. Deal 3 battlefield cards from the bottom of the deck. And you deal them from the bottom because they're double-sided and you don't want to be able to see what they are before you start. So you just deal those out, and you can see here I've got Frozen Tundra. It has a blue gem. It adds +1 to all ranged attacks. So that's a place you want to play your dragons that have ranged attacks. We have Mountains of Mist, which gives a -1 shield to all metallic dragons. So metallic dragons are going to be easier to hit on this battlefield, so you want to avoid placing metallic dragons here. And then over here we have the Deep Forest. This gives a +1 melee to silver and bronze dragons. So that's a good place to play your silver and bronze dragons because they're going to be extra effective on that battlefield during the melee combat. Alright, so now we're going to do the phase that is the Command Dragon phase. This is where you are going to look at the dragons who have come to your call, and these are the dragons you're going to have to be able to command to these 3 different battlefields that are in play. So there's 10 different dragon types, but you're going to start every round with 8. Exactly, both players are going to have exactly 8 dragons. So you really need to think about where you're going to place them based on the abilities that are on the landscapes and based on their special abilities and based on what their ranged and melee attacks are. The only rule here is you can place no more than 3 dragons on each battlefield. So you've already got a choice. You're going to be able to play 3 dragons on 2 of these battlefields, but one of them you're only going to be able to place 2. So you got to balance. Do you want to try and have a shot at all 3 of them, or do you want to give one up and really go for 2 of them? Maybe you want to really get those 2 green gems, or your odds are probably better if you get a blue and a green to get a different color the next round and possibly win the game. So when I'm placing my first dragon, I don't want to place, like this red dragon, I would not want to play this red dragon because this red dragon has a ranged attack. And a ranged attack only happens when you first play it to the battlefield. And my opponent does not have a dragon yet, so I would waste that ranged attack if I played it first. What I want to play is a dragon with a high armor value. So you'll see this frost dragon, this polar dragon would be good. He's got a defensive value of 3. But he's got a lot of other special abilities. He can freeze a battlefield, which basically takes that battlefield out of play for the whole round. Nobody can win that gem. So I might want to save that one in case things get hairy. The silver dragon is always a good choice. The silver dragon's special ability is defensive. It has reflective scales, so it is immune to ranged attack. So this is always a great dragon to play first. And I'm going to go ahead and do it. And you know what? I'm going to place it right here on the Deep Forest because this, remember, gives a +1 melee value to silver and bronze dragons. And that silver dragon is immune to ranged attack, so he cannot be attacked by my opponent. And he's going to get a bonus during the melee phase. So then, we'll deal some dragons out here. Let me set up the board, and I'll come back and show you how a ranged attack works, and then show you how the melee attack works. All right, so now we've placed, I've played dragons, my opponent has played dragons, and you play 1 dragon at a time. I play a dragon, your opponent gets to play a dragon. You play a dragon, and it just goes back and forth like that, and each player can play them on any one of those 3 battlefields as long as they don't exceed 3 dragons. Once you get to 3 dragons, like my opponent is here, they cannot play any more dragons on that battlefield. Unless I destroy one, then they can play another one if they still have dragon cards remaining in their hand. So I'll show you how a ranged attack works here. I have a gold dragon in my hand. And remember, this battlefield is -1 shield to all metallic dragons, and my opponent has a bronze dragon over there. So that's a metallic dragon, so it is going to take -1 to its shield value. So when I play this gold dragon, you'll see I've got a ranged attack of 2. So I'm going to get to flip 2 of my battle cards over. So I flip 1, and you'll see I've got 1 hit. And I flip the next one, and I've got another hit. So I have 2 successful hits against that bronze dragon. But the bronze dragon is going to get to flip not 2 cards. The armor value is 2, but it's -1 because it's in the Mountains of Mist. So he's only going to get 1 card. And he flips a card, and he gets 1 successful defense. Which is not enough. I had 2 hits, he only had 1 defensive success, so this dragon is removed from the battlefield. And my opponent will not get those 3 cards during the melee phase of the game. And again, you're really trying to position your dragons to have the highest melee value possible in total between all the dragons on that battlefield, so you can win the gem. Because that's how you win the game, is getting the right combination of gems. Alright, so let me just show you some of the different dragon abilities and what they can do and some of the roles they fit. I'll just go through some of them. Here is a purple dragon. Purple dragon's kind of cool. His ability is he has stealth. So usually when you play a dragon, you've got to play it. If you play a dragon to a battlefield, you have to place it on top of any dragons that have already been played. And so when you're attacked, when your opponent attacks you or you attack your opponent, they're always attacking the topmost dragon. The purple dragon is different because its stealth ability lets you place it under any dragon. And he's got a very good melee value of 3. Also, if you win a battlefield where a purple dragon exists, you will get an advanced battle card and get to add it to the top of your battle deck. So again, these are much better cards, and that's going to give you an advantage. So the purple dragon I could play like this. This would be a great place to play my purple dragon because I've played him under a silver dragon, and that silver dragon, remember, is immune to ranged attacks. So essentially that silver dragon is protecting the purple dragon underneath it. So I'm going to have a melee, I'm going to have a melee value of 3 and 3, and this says 2, but it's actually 4. So that is 10. I would get to draw 10 cards for the melee phase of this battlefield. Now the brass dragon would have a melee value of 4 because his special ability is Elder Scales. And Elder Scale says whenever a brass dragon is paired with another metallic dragon of any type, and the silver is a metallic dragon, he gets more forceful. His melee attack doubles from 2 to 4 because he is fighting with his brethren. So that would be a very good combination right there, that silver and that brass and that purple dragon. The gold dragon. When you make a successful ranged attack with a gold dragon, and its ranged attack value is 2, which is good, you get to draw an advanced battle card, which is very good. The bronze dragon is a more strategic ability. The bronze dragon, when you play a bronze dragon, you have the choice to flip a battlefield over if you would like to. So I could flip this over. So, for example, if I had a bunch of metallic dragons here and I didn't want to have that -1 shield, I could flip it and hope to change it. And yes, I've succeeded. I've changed the battlefield. Or maybe I want to flip it and try to get a different color gem, that shows a different color gem. Maybe your opponent needs to get blue and you don't want him to win the game, so you are going to flip that battlefield and hope to change the color of that gem. The battlefield is either going to change the modifier, it's going to change the location, or it's going to change the gem color. So this is more of a strategic role. The red dragon has Fireball. Fireball just says that if you succeed with a ranged attack, you can then attack the next dragon in line. It represents that fireball just kind of laying waste through multiple dragons at one time. Green dragon has a ranged attack as well, and its poison breath will subtract 1 shield value from any dragon it is attacking. And then there's a bunch of other dragons too. And I'm not going to go through all of them because I wanted this to be more of a brief overview. But the black dragon has an acid pool, which reduces the melee value of your opponent for that melee round. We've got special dragons like the battle dragon, who is just basically a melee powerhouse. He's got no breath attack, but he's got a 4 melee value and takes 2 hits to destroy. So if he gets hit, you turn it sideways to indicate he's hit, and he requires another hit to get rid of. So every dragon in your deck is going to fit a different role, whether it's offensive or defensive or strategic, and how you place them is crucially important for getting ready for that melee battle. So once both sides have either played all their dragon cards, or when all the battlefields have at least, if they all have 3 dragons, then they're full. You can't place anymore. The first player is going to get to select which battlefield they are going to attack. So once the melee round begins, you are going to pick it. So let's say I pick this. I'm going to add up the melee values of my 2 dragons here on the battlefield. I've got a 3 and a 2. So I get a 5. I have a 5 melee value. That means I get to draw 5 battle cards. My opponent would get to draw 3 and 2. They would also get to draw 5 battle cards. Now the melee is a much different kind. It's much different than the ranged attacks. You are going to be playing for the bottom abilities here. Like you see, this is just a claw. You may attack or defend against 1 claw. So if I played, this is a very simple example, but if I played 1 claw, my opponent would have to play a claw to defend against it. If they don't have a claw, they could defend with a flight card. A flight card can defend against any attack or any attack combo. So if they cannot defend and they have cards, they must lose a dragon. One of their dragons is defeated and it comes off the battlefield. But these symbols on the bottom here, you can play multiple cards in one attack as long as those symbols match. So for example, I've got 3 moons here. I could play a claw and a bite and a 2 claw. So if I played all 3 of these, and I could because they all have moons, my opponent would have to defend against 3 claws. This card is a 2 claw attack and a 1 claw attack. That's 3 claws and 1 bite. They would have to defend against all 4 of those attacks. For every attack they cannot defend, they must lose a dragon. However, this could be risky early in the game, because if they have 1 flight card, they can play that 1 flight card and avoid all of these attacks, which means I would have burnt 3 cards and they only burnt 1. And the melee is really all about preserving your cards and staying ahead in the card count so you have more options than your opponent. So there's a lot of subterfuge and deduction going on during that melee phase. There's also another card called Magic, which is a really pretty cool card. So if you play a Magic card, you get to draw cards equal to the number of cards that you played. So if I play 1 Magic, I get to draw another card. If I played a Magic as part of a combo with, say, a Magic and a Claw, I would get to draw 2 cards because I have played 2 cards. So that's basically it. You're going to go back and forth playing melee cards, and there's lots of different special abilities on these melee cards, especially on the advanced battle deck. There's Claw Ambush and Deadly Strike, and here's a double attack, a bite and a claw, or 2 claws. There's some more flights in there. Magic Shield, which will bounce a magic attack back at your opponent. There is an Ancient Magic card, which counts for 2 magic attacks. So the combinations that you get in your hand really spice up those melee battles and make them a little interesting. So you're going to basically fight on every battlefield. The dragons are going to fight, and if you destroy all the dragons on your opponent's side, you win that card and you gain that gem. If you don't destroy them all, whoever has the most dragons at the end of the battle wins that battlefield. If you're tied, then it's a stalemate and the dragons remain there for the next round. So that's basically how the game goes. I didn't want to take too much time with this video. All right, so that's about it. That's how Draco Magi works. You're going to have a card draft for advanced battle cards in the beginning. You are going to put the battlefields, the starting battlefields, out onto the table. Players are going to alternate commanding dragons to the different battlefields, really trying to think strategically about where they should place their dragons, depending on the abilities of the dragons and the modifiers of those battlefields, to get themselves set up to have the best position for that melee round. Because that melee round is what is going to decide who wins that battlefield and collects that gem. And remember, you've got to collect 3 gems of a different color, or 3 gems of the same color, or 4 gems of any color to win the game. So you're trying to get yourself set up for that melee round. After the melee happens, if there is no winner, you deal out 3 more battlefield cards, and you do it again. So it's usually about 2 rounds. Sometimes you can go 3 rounds, but the game, once both players know the game, it's 25 or 30 minutes. But there's a lot of strategic depth here, and I think Richard Launius has done a fantastic job bringing the theme into the game. You really do feel like dragons are fighting when you're placing them and using those breath weapons, and when you're using those melee cards to claw and bite and use magic attacks and the different abilities that have been put into the game. So again, I'm Robert Burke. Thanks for watching. I do have some more longer-winded tutorials. If you want to watch more on the Draco Magi Facebook page, you can find those. But if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a note. I'll be glad to answer them. Thanks for watching. Bye.